a German's perspective on Americans and their small talk. Let's take a look. Willkommen. My name is Sean Huggins, and this is React with Hugs. Let's hop straight into today's reaction. All right, we're back with Faley from Germany. Let's check it out.
Hey, my day's not going so great, honestly. What about you?
I'm fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I think I know where this is going, but we'll see.
Servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel.
Hello.
My name is Felicia, I'm from Munich, Germany, and currently
Faley.
I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. When I first came here, one of the most important things I had to learn was how to do small talk. Because as I've mentioned in my 3 differences video, Americans are very, very open and they love to do small talk. So when you see someone, the first thing you'll say to each other will usually be, "How are you?" or "How are you doing?" which literally translates to the German, "Wie geht's dir?" But in Germany, we use this phrase a little bit differently. For us,
or was geht?
This phrase does not replace a hello as it does here sometimes. And when you ask it someone, it means that you actually care about how that person is doing, even if they're not doing so great. So it's very likely that you'll get a detailed answer about how that person's life is going, and they might even complain to you a little bit.
Yeah. Subtle differences in how you say these things in English. If you say, "Hey, how are ya?" that is a very casual way of saying it. If you say, "How are you doing today?" that's a much more formal, less of a slang way of saying it. And then you might get a real response like what she's describing here. But if you just say, "How are ya?" or "What's up?" that's, that's the same as was geht, or like, it's like slang for saying like, kind of like hi, basically,
Like, I'm okay, I guess. I just haven't gotten any sleep in the past few days because my exams are coming up next week. Plus, the heat in my apartment isn't working, so now I'm getting sick on top of that. Ugh. Here in America, that will be considered inappropriate, because "how are you" is just a nice and positive phrase to greet people with and to lay the foundation for some more chit-chat if you're up for it.
Yeah, it's more circumstantial in America. Like, if you say "how are you" to a stranger, then you probably shouldn't trauma dump every single bad thing that's ever happened to you in your entire life. But that doesn't mean that you can't be like, "Oh, not having that great of a day. My car broke down on the way here," or something, that's fine. But rambling on and on and on about every single problem that you have in your life out of nowhere to a stranger, that would definitely be considered a bit strange, for sure. But if you say "how are you" to friends or family, you already know that person. It's not like you're introducing yourself to them. So then, sure, trauma dump away.
So you'll hear it from your friends, from your coworkers, fellow students, your waiter at the restaurant, the cashier at the store, just everywhere. And your answer should be something like, "I'm good, how are you?" or "I'm doing well, thanks," or "I'm fine, what about you?" Of course, you can add a little bit more to it if you want to, like, "I'm doing great, I'm really enjoying the sunny weather today." Or even more personal things, but they should be positive. You're not exactly supposed to tell people that you're in a bad mood, even if you are.
You can. You definitely can in America. It's just, it would be too much to explain every single bad thing and create a laundry list of 10 different bad things that, put you in a bad mood and just keep going on and on and on about it when, the waiter, for example, is standing there trying to take your order at the restaurant. That would be weird. That would be weird. It's okay to not be in a great mood and it's okay to talk about it, but let's keep it short,
So I think the most I've heard from someone was like, "I'm good, just a little sick," or like, "I'm good, it's just cold in here." And that was the most negative. So even if they feel miserable, Americans will always give you a positive answer to this question. And that's something that is very hard to learn and to adapt
Not always,
for someone
but
like me, who
usually
grew up in this very honest, direct, and blunt German culture. So sometimes the small talk will be over after the "how are you" thing and you will just keep going. But then in other cases, there's more to come, especially when it's someone that you know a little bit. And from a German view, this can actually get very personal, but on a more superficial level. Now, personal and superficial to a German might sound like two completely different things because we usually don't really open up to people that we're not friends with. And then if we do share personal stories with someone, they won't be superficial, but actually truthful and deep. Americans, however, are just more friendly to a lot of people and they open up to them way sooner in this like nice and positive kind of way. There's this metaphor that you learn at these intercultural trainings before you go abroad, and that is that Americans are like a peach and Germans are like a coconut. And I personally think that there's a lot of truth to it. So Americans are very soft on the outside, they're very friendly to new people, and they don't mind sharing personal information with them to a certain extent. But it's very hard to get to their core and to become true friends with them.
Not true at all. Not even a little bit.
Germans, on the other hand, have a hard shell, so they don't like to open up to people as quickly. But when they do, so when they're cracked open once, it usually means that you're real friends now and they will be very loyal.
Yeah, I think that this analogy is cute on paper, but I don't see any correlation between the two of them. I feel like this is like a stereotype that is perpetuated online, but as somebody who has lived in both places and has made friends and family in both places, there are a lot of differences between the cultures, but I think that they are a lot more similar than either side would like to verbally admit. For whatever reason, I don't know why. Like Americans and Germans both want to have their own, you know, I'm a peach and I'm a coconut, but really everybody's apples. It's apples and apples. You know what I'm saying? Some of the most friendly and open and literal instantaneous friends for life that I've made have been in Germany. They weren't hard to crack. They weren't hard around the edges and I need to crack their coconut shell once before I can make a true friend. No, it was on site. It was instantaneous. First meeting for a bunch of my very dear friends in Germany. And the same can be said in America as well. I have friends that I went to school with my entire life and I'm still friends with them today. And that's a common thing in Germany. That's how most of my friends have been in America. And I think that these stereotypes that she's talking about have a little bit of merit to them, a little bit of truth to them. But I don't think they are nearly as, you know, hardcore or as plain and simple as, you know, the internet tries to make you believe. At least not all the time.
So in America, when you run into someone on the street, even if you have only met them once before, they will probably still chat with you a little bit. Maybe ask you what you're doing around here, or ask you about that big project you had mentioned last time, or whatever they know about you. And it won't be super awkward like these things are sometimes in Germany, where in the end, both of you are like, yeah, okay, I gotta go. Okay, have a nice day. I might see you at my friend's party, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We have plenty of awkward exchanges in America. I don't know what kind of America she's living in, but then again, it could just be me because I'm a very awkward person in general. So maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just the awkward one. So every encounter that I have with humans is awkward. That probably makes more sense. Okay,
yeah,
don't
maybe.
listen to me.
Okay, bye. Americans just make this
That's
whole
every
saying
conversation
goodbye
I have,
thing
what she
so
just
much
said.
easier. They're just like, see ya, and walk away. I also said that Americans...
What is this, a Sims character that you're talking about? Bloop, 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 bloop. Bye. Bloop, 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 bloop. What? What?
Small talk is superficial, and here's why. First of all, I don't think that everyone is always super interested in what you're telling them and thinks that everything you mention is amazing or awesome, as they say. They just make it seem like it is because, again, they're very polite and they want to make you feel good. To Germans, this might seem a little dishonest at first. And that's how I thought about it too in the beginning, but now I actually got used to it and I learned to appreciate this because it makes the small talk a lot more fun, makes it less awkward, and it gives you something positive for the day.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this happens definitely to a degree, but this also happens in Germany. Like, if your friend is really excited about like a promotion that happened at his work, for example, and they're like, dude, I'm so excited. You know, I got this promotion. I'm going to be, you know, in charge of a big project. And you're like, that doesn't have to do with me and this conversation is boring. I'm going to stop talking to you now. I don't care if you're in America or if you're in Germany, you're going to come off as rude. Like, that's just mean. That has nothing to do with being direct. You're just an asshole. There's a difference. There's a difference between being honest and not being a good person. Those are two different things. You can't just not be a good person. You can't just be an asshole and say, well, I'm just direct. Those are two different things. But anyways, not you. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking about you. You're great. You're doing great. Thank you for watching the video. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about other Germans. Okay.
Makes it less awkward, and it gives you something positive for the day. But in other cases, this extreme politeness still confuses me sometimes, especially when it comes to making plans as part of the small talk.
Oh.
Because in my experience, Americans tend to make fake plans just to be nice. One typical example from the intercultural training is that a German family moves to the US and their American neighbors come over to welcome them, which is super nice, obviously, and they all chat a little bit and they get along super well. So the Americans suggest that they should all get together for a barbecue sometime.
Yeah.
So then the weeks pass by and the Germans go over someday and they're like, hey neighbors, summer's almost over. When do you want us to come over for the barbecue? Even though the Americans only said this to be nice, and they now feel overwhelmed by the Germans that they invite themselves over. Classical miscommunication.
I'm not sure what the problem is in this situation. Maybe I didn't get to it yet. Let's continue.
I experienced something similar myself.
Let's see.
So I was walking on the street with my boyfriend who is American, and we ran into a friend of his. So they started talking, some small talk, and the friend said that he's throwing a party on Saturday and that we should come. So my boyfriend was like, yeah, sure, sounds great. And then they talked about some other stuff, and when the conversation was over, I asked my boyfriend, hey, did you forget that we had plans for Saturday? And he was like, oh no, I didn't forget about that. I'm not going to the party. I was just trying to be nice. And I was quite shocked because a German would actually consider it way nicer to get an honest answer because they want to know who they can actually expect to come.
In America too, your boyfriend is just an asshole. That is definitely not an American thing. It is not an American stereotype. It's not real. It is not a thing for Americans to say that they're going to go to a party or whatever and then just not show up. At least not without being an asshole. Your boyfriend is an asshole. That's different than saying we should do a barbecue together sometime. There's no plans being made to do a barbecue other than let's make the plans at a later date. We should make plans to have a barbecue sometime at a later date. So at a later date, we can get together and we can make formal plans. What time, what place, what to bring, who's coming, all that stuff. Cool. We should have a barbecue sometime is setting a plan to set up a plan. No problem with that. Telling somebody you're coming to their party on Saturday, I'll be there, and then turning around and saying, not going, that's an asshole. That is not an American thing. That's an asshole. Okay, let's continue.
So small talk in America is a big part of the everyday interaction with people, and it's way different than how we do it in Germany. I personally like that people are so friendly and that it's so easy to talk to them, but I still have trouble sometimes to figure out what they actually mean and what they just say to be nice.
Well, that was a fun video. At least for me, it was fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. If you did, be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. It helps the algorithm, which helps the channel. Also, while you're down there, leave your mustard down in the comments section below and let me know what you think. I'm curious what you guys have to say about this situation. At any rate though, that's all the time that I have for today. Thank you guys so much for being here, and as always, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.